Grace and peace to you from God, our Mother, Jesus, our sister, and the Holy Spirit, the energy, the life in us all. Amen. The church in America and the world, we still don't know what to do with lesbians, gays, bisexual, trans. We don't know what to do with queer folks.
I would go to church, and every time it would be, oh, we want to pray the gay away.
I think it's safe to say that everyone here has some voice that's been telling you that you are not enough, not worthy, not important, not beautiful, not good.
First thing a guy asked us when we walked in was, don't bring the world into the church. And I paused immediately and said, huh? He said, yeah, don't bring all that in here.
Folks have been hurt and rejected, and the church has failed a lot of people.
It's homophobic, it's transphobic, it's a lot of hate than what's supposed to be preached in the Bible.
This entire community of people has garbage that the world dumps on us in order to try and make us feel small. And God did not create us to feel small.
This whole LGBT movement is anti-God, it's anti-Christian.
The church hasn't always been doing a great job getting at that core of the gospel, that you are loved as you are, queer, not queer, whatever.
That is why you are here today, because you reject God.
I don't think that there is a safe space for queer people in our churches. I really don't think that's where we are.
Love is love! Love is love! Love is love! Love is love! Love is love!
We are trying to help you. We have come here for your salvation, not for your destruction.
And all those messages, all those voices that you're hearing telling you that you are dirt, well, that's just complete bullshit. Queer Church is a pop-up community of faith by queer folks, for queer folks, and the ones who love us. If you identify anywhere in there, queer, not queer, someone who loves someone who's queer, someone who wants to learn more about the queer experience, Queer Church is open to you. I'm Drew. I'm transitioning from female to male, more male presenting. My pronouns are they and he. I'm just queering church.
Queer what? Because back in St. Louis, that's queer and church, those words don't mix.
I'm the intern pastor here at St. Paul's. Part of the internship is to create a project, and Queer Church is that project. All year, I've been spending time with the community at St. Paul's and leading forums, educating folks on gender, on pronouns, on drag, cross-dressing, and the history of those. And it's very important for myself as a queer person, as a trans person, to have a space where it's made for us, by us, where our friends could be able to come and let their hair down and hang out with each other and talk about God and any spiritual questions or topics that they want to talk about. And I completely understand the craving, the desire to be in a religious, spiritual community. There's just something different about being in a church that you can't get anywhere else.
Everything we do here, pouring a bit of water into a shell and over the heads of infants and other humans, and daring to call that salvation and spirit-filling.
Christ is alive, let Christians sing, the cross stands empty to the sky. Let streets and homes with praises ring, love drowned in death shall never die.
Lifting up a loaf of bread at the table bought at Ralph's and a cup of wine from a bottle bought at the local liquor store. and calling it a grace-infused meal. Gathering Sunday after Sunday because on this day we believe that a publicly executed brown-skinned Palestinian Jew who was lynched on a tree and who 3 days later was raised from the dead, that on this day, on this first day of the week, he got up from the grave and by his Spirit empowers us to get up. In the words of the old Broadway classic by Sondheim, isn't it rich? Isn't all this queer?
Well, after 22 years of being together, I finally got a gorgeous queer stole from my husband, who is a fashion designer. So I can't wait to show this off. I got it for just in time for Pride this year. Yeah, it's got a gorgeous cross. He did a great job. And if you go this way, you get a little extra gold in it, a little extra shimmer.
I'm James Boleen, the pastor of St. Paul's. I'm in my 20th year now as pastor of St. Paul. For me, ministry runs in the family. I'm a third-generation pastor. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm comfortable with they, them, theirs too, but he, him. It's been our joy at St. Paul's to be a place where we welcome LGBTQ interns, students who are preparing for pastoral ministry. So currently we're on our 8th intern. It was clear to me when I met Drew that he was also anticipating his internship with a little bit of fear and trepidation. He was still transitioning and becoming comfortable with who he was as a trans person, and now he was going to be becoming a pastor as well. We met one another and said we're going to spend this year together, and started wondering what it would be like. I think when Drew told me about Queer Church, I thought, okay, let's try an untraditional liturgy, something out of the ordinary. Great. He began to make more concrete plans. Then we began to hear what he had in mind. Some unusual participants, and just doing everything with a bit of a queer angle.
What I first ended up doing, I went on a dating app, and rather than saying, let's go on a date, I said, I'm looking for drag queens for this event. And a couple of people swiped right, but then it didn't go anywhere. And then one person, it was SB, she swiped right and we matched. And so we started talking about what I was thinking of, and she's like, yes, I'm on board, I want to do it.
He asked me about Queer Church and if I was interested, so at first I was kind of hesitant because I grew up in the church and it wasn't the place that I was 100% comfortable with. And I talked to my mom actually, and she told me she thinks it's a good idea. So that's what kind of pushed me forward to actually want to participate in it. So my birth name is Charles William Davis III, but my stage name is Espy Azalea Simone. I'm from Louisiana. I went to LSU. I have a degree in theater. My pronouns fluctuate quite a bit because I kind of just mingle my way through every gender. So I don't care if it's they, she, he, whatever you prefer. I grew up in a very religious family, and as I got older, I kind of started to separate from religion because of the things that had happened in the past. I came out in 2009 when I was 15, and at that time I was going to a church in Louisiana, and whenever they would do sermons about homosexuality, I would always be essentially the pinpoint, because most people in the church would kind of turn and side glance at me, and I'm just sitting there like, yes, I'm gay, this is no secret. So that kind of pushed me away.
the next corner here. Let's turn on that next corner. Because this is the corner. This is the corner. Whatever this one is, and whatever this one is. I don't know.
Queer Church, actually, the other performer, SB Azealia Simone, she got me involved with Queer Church and asked me if I wanted to do it. And I immediately, like, raised my eyebrow. Like, so when she said Queer Church, I said, girl, I don't know about that. I don't know. She was like, yeah, we're gonna be performing. I said, okay, well, where are we performing? In a church. No, I said, I'll think about it, but that doesn't sound right.
What the fuck do I need to put this bitch on? Power Ranger? This is fucking unacceptable. I did not sign this. When I prayed during the winter months, I asked the Lord to make it woman. I did not say, Lord, please bring the devil from hell and have him sit his ass crack on earth. That's not what I asked for. I cannot do this.
And then I finally, after Drew called me and broke down how everything was supposed to go, I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. I'm Tyrell Bryant, as in boy. As a drag performer, my name is Hershey LaCourgette. I guess you could say I'm gender non-conforming. So, you know, if I'm dressed up as a boy, you know, I want to feel cute as a boy. But if I'm dressed up in drag, I feel pretty in drag. And I had to tell myself, it took drag to bring out of me that it's okay to feel both. Growing up St. Louis, yeah, that's Bible Belt. So yeah, I was in church every Sunday. Yeah, I was in the choir and, you know, Bible study, all those good things. I did not like it. I liked when I was younger in the choir and stuff, I enjoyed it, but it kind of started separating when I started doing the YouTube videos around 15.
Hello? It came back positive. I'm pregnant.
Oh, word? Congratulations.
What you plan to do about this?
About what?
This is your baby.
Say what?
Don't act like you don't know.
Don, you know who Tyler Perry is? I started watching his movies and stuff, so I was like, oh, that's funny. So I'd be in my basement all day making videos and, you know, coming up with little characters.
I never slept with you. Oh, it was convenient for you to slide up in this tastiness, but when you slide out, you can't take care of what come out. My name is not 7-Eleven, and ain't no Quick Trip posted to my door, so you can't come in, get what you need, pay, and then get up out of there.
When I put it on YouTube, people from my church started seeing them.
Didn't want it, then you shouldn't have put your thing in it. Didn't want it, then you shouldn't have put your thing in it. Now you mad cause you got me pregnant.
This was before I even knew I was homosexual. I was just making videos to have fun. And people were making me question what I like to do and who I was. And it would get to the point where I was sitting in church and I felt like everybody was just watching me, you know. Why is he here? What is he doing? I wonder if his, you know, mother approves of that. That's what started a separation between me and the church because they didn't like it, but I love church, but they didn't like my videos, so growing up got kind of weird. Me and my mom, we had it out for a while because, you know, she's a basketball player and she wanted a football, basketball, sports, lifting, 1,000 girlfriends type of son. That's what she wanted, and I couldn't give that to her.
All hail the queen, all hail the queen. Step up on the scene and they bow down to me. All hail the queen, all hail the queen.
I always had a pretty good idea who I was. The problem came when I let everybody else tell me who I was supposed to be. So I was always torn, you know, like, I know I feel this way, but you know, this is what mama wants. And, you know, my granddad kind of wants me to be doing this, and then my dad kind of wants me to be doing this, but this is what I do over here.
All hail the queen, bow down to me. Step up on the scene and they bow down to me. All hail the queen, I'm royalty.
Church was all I knew up until like 16, 17, and then I had to come to a space where I was choosing me or church.
I actually met Drew through Facebook, and I was like, I'm down to do that. Hey, I'll dance.
I said you was plain to see, boy.
personally, I'm not Christian, but it's like queer church, I'm like, I'm down to come to that. What we doing? You know, it's like, I want to see what this is about. And some people might be hesitant because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to church. I'm like, it's not the church you think. You can be free. I believe queer church is like, you know, exploring our like queerness. Is it owning our power, taking it back from the church that, you know, hey, church can be a safe space for queer people. It isn't like all these different horrible dichotomies of like hate. It's supposed to be about love, unconditional love, and unconditionally loving others with healthy boundaries. I don't mean being a martyr. I don't mean going over your capacities, but like what that love really means, like healthy, holistic love. My name is J Mac. Pronouns are they, them, theirs, or thatty, THDDY, coined by Hoover Universe, another gender non-conforming Black trans artist. I come from Orange Mound, Memphis, Tennessee, historically Black-owned neighborhood, Christian Baptist background. I'm no longer Christian Baptist anymore. I'm more of a spiritual free being, celebrating the earth and my ancestors and the universe. And I believe God has no gender and is more of an energy than a person. It's just energy you feel inside. And you're a part of it, we're all a part of it. It's like a consciousness almost. I sent my mom along an email because in the South, like being Black and queer is like, what? You can't be Black and queer? I'm like, but you can. Growing up in the South, I thought it was just the L and the G in the spectrum, and not the T and not the G and not the N or the plus or whatever I wanted to be. And like learning that, I'm like, oh, I could be non-binary because that's how I feel. I don't feel that I am a certain gender, I'm just here.
Drew was kind enough and God was present enough to have me be part of the queer church. I am Joseph Castaneda Carrera, he, him, his. So I grew up in the Catholic Church until I was 13, and then my parents divorced, and my dad became a Southern Baptist deacon, and my mom became Pentecostal, and I just couldn't really find my space, I think. So when I was 13, more around 15 is when I felt the anger, I think, because I felt called to be a pastor, but I also was reconciling that I was gay, and I thought, well, that's just mean. Why would you call me to do this and make me gay? I left the church really angry. I left the church really hurt, and I decided that I would prefer to believe that there was not a God instead of thinking that there was a God that was cruel. So I left. And it took me until I met a pastor in the ELCA church who spoke God to me, and I thought, this is what I always thought God was about. She said, why don't you come to church? I thought it was a trick. So many times I've been invited to churches and people say, well, my church is really welcoming, and I go and it's anything but welcoming, and it's so hurtful, and I've become very suspicious of welcome. But I gave her a chance, and I came back under two rules. I was gonna learn all the anti-LGBTQ texts well enough so I could argue with somebody and win. Or I was gonna stay until I was hurt. It wasn't long before I was hurt. And it wasn't too long until I learned those texts well. But by the time I could fight, it was the last thing I wanted to do. So I stayed. And a calling I had received really early in life to be a pastor just started stirring again, and here, not more than 8 years later, I'm a pastor of a church of churches, and now I'm doing queer church. And it's kind of the opposite, right, where I was pushed out because of who I am, and now I'm pulled back into the church because of who I am. And that's a beautiful thing.
This is the bulletin that I'm envisioning. We're gonna talk through it first, and then once we're done with that, we'll move into like a soft walkthrough. Start with the cover. The cover, it's a depiction of Saint Sebastian. has been kind of deemed history's first gay icon and is the patron saint of homosexuality, just because all the depictions of Saint Sebastian is he's this like sexy, beautiful, persecuted person.
It's beautiful.
Right? If you've been to a church service, it's kind of a straightforward, usual, quote unquote, church service, the order. In the Lutheran Church, there's a sacrament of confession and forgiveness, but I've rephrased it to have it be called affirmation of God's love / letting go of shittiness.
Yes.
The phrase confession and forgiveness can feel kind of heavy, especially in queer communities. Like, girl, we've confessed enough about who we are, and like we've asked enough forgiveness.
For the longest time, to be a pastor meant one couldn't be partnered and gay in the Lutheran Church. Seminary, during the years I was there, was a pretty closeted place to be. This was the late 80s. Didn't even really think about coming out because I wasn't telling myself really yet the truth until my senior year of seminary. It took falling in love with a classmate and at the same time hearing those lectures on God's grace and mercy and compassion. Family, not so accepting, difficult for them to hear that news, and they have come a long way over the years, but it was difficult. For most of my friends, I have to say it was no surprise.
When it's hard, you need to look ahead and just remember everything I said about how you'll make it no matter the outcome. So rise up and show them all where you came from.
So the journey has been one of coming out over the years since I began to prepare to be a pastor, and telling myself the truth about myself first, and then finally telling the church the truth about me.
You've got to rise
There are many pastors who have been defrocked for being open and honest with their churches, with their bishops, with those in authority over them. So much so that there is a project called the Stoles Project, where these pastors who were defrocked literally gave their stoles to a project that would display them. And it really drives home how many pastors gave up those stoles for the truth about themselves. When we're ordained, the thing that happens is the bishop or whoever the ordaining minister is places that stole around our shoulders, around our necks, and with scripture and prayer. And that's sort of the moment, the ritual moment when we become a pastor. And to have that removed and set aside. Some were able to take them back again by God's grace, but others pursued other professions and never returned. So after I came out in Orlando, I remember walking around the convention center and getting a lot of stares and glares. I was afraid of losing my job, everything I had prepared a lifetime for. I brought my third grade Bible with me and made my 2-minute speech, but I just said, you know, I'm a son of this church. I belong to you. You're my mother, in a sense. Where would I go? I belong to you. You belong to me. We belong to each other. We're family. And I just implored them to not send me away.
So children, your drag mother, Jesus, invites you to the table to get some bread and wine, gluten-free or gluten-full.
Is you say that Jesus is our drag mother? And I think that's fine. I think maybe people will just be like it so much that they'll be curious what you mean.
Yeah.
So maybe explain, like, how was Jesus my drag mother?
House of the Lord.
You have those people who were, say, disowned by their family or kicked out that lean on their drag mother or their drag family. Hershey is one of the first drag queens that I met when I moved to LA.
Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
is also from the South, from Missouri. It was 5 or 6 of us, Black, queer performers. So to have that community, I definitely leaned on them a lot as far as my growth here, moving to LA and trying to become the person I'm trying to be. Hershey is one of my favorite performers in LA. Like, if Hershey has a show and I go, I know I'm not gonna be bored. Although, don't take that to the head.
SB's one of my best friends out here in Atlanta. I really like her. I'm lying. Yeah. Oh, I said Atlanta? Yeah. I meant Los Angeles. SB's trash. I came up with my drag name when the whole situation with Trayvon Martin happened. I wanted a name to say I was queer, but I was Black at the same time. I wanted something that would be in your face. And Hershey was just, I literally turned the page of some magazine or something, and a Hershey's chocolate bar was right there. And I was like, oh, Hershey, okay, sure. Liqueur, I don't know where that came from. It just hit me. And then Jate, my drag mother name, her name is Calypso Jate, so I took her name and added it to mine. My drag mother, she's pretty much my mentor. She teaches me, you know, her style of performance and how I can incorporate it into mine. And she'll give me a costume here or there, or give me some advice if I need it. Pretty much like a big sister / mom type of situation. Your family is who you choose to be your family. Blood doesn't always have to be who you tie yourself to. And my parents were very toxic for a long time. And I got to a place where I had to let them know that we don't have to be a part of each other's life in a certain way. And if you can't meet me where I'm at, we don't have to be there. And I think that was just more of a wake-up call for them, that they had to catch up with me.
The first half of it is kind of slow, softer, quieter, and after communion, the first song and dance. Why bring drag queens into church? Of all the drag shows I've gone to, there's something very holy that's happening in that space. When I go to a drag show, I feel alive. When I leave, I feel alive and very fed and very affirmed in my queerness.
I think we're in drag every Sunday. I mean, we put on these fabulous gowns and we accentuate them with stoles and with jewelry, with crosses, necklaces. It's fun to dress up, but it's also so symbolic of the way in which we are called to be servants to one another.
Today, it took me 2 hours because I could sit down and just like play with it. I can do a face in like 45 minutes. It's the fastest. That didn't take her long at all.
Yeah, no, I went really quick. My faces tend to take me about 45 minutes because when I take longer than that, that's when I just stare in the mirror and start doing stuff I don't need to do, and then I really look a mess. So I'd rather look less of a mess by going fast than taking all my time and then just looking crazy.
It used to bother me going down the street in drag. Like, I'll quickly wipe off my makeup or something. Like, my first 2 months of drag, I'll come there dressed up, but I'll wipe my makeup off before I go outside because I was worried about who was looking at me. But now I'm just, you know, I invite the attention. Like, I do a lot of shows downtown, and I will wear my heels on purpose just to clack on the sidewalk to see who's looking. I enjoy that attention a little bit too much, honestly.
I wear heels, but I also don't move a lot when I do shows. My go-to stunt, I do hair flips. and I just whip my hair really hard to make people feel like that I actually just did something spectacular.
The one thing a lot of people don't understand about drag is it's separate from being trans. So drag is what you do, and being trans is who you are. I do drag, but I'm not a trans woman. Actually, my persona is a little boy in his mom's clothes, is what I tell people. But I think it's just very important that people make that separation.
So there's gonna be some swears in church, and
I'm down with that.
Yeah, I'm
was
all
just
for
wondering,
that.
like,
Yeah, can I cuss in here? I think if you don't swear, how do you pray?
Right.
Sometimes saying shit is the only prayer that you need. If you're angry, like that's sometimes all you gotta say. And then saying, okay, one more thing, this is Queer Church. If you're feeling weird about the word queer, don't worry. Queers in the institutional church have had an ugly history, and we're working to reclaim both of those as a powerful, life-giving thing.
There's a lot of similarities between early Christians and queer folks. The word Christian was a derogatory term. It was given to the group of people who followed Jesus by the Romans, meaning little Christ. Early Christianity was not legal, so they ended up having to meet in secret. They would have basically code for, are you a follower of Christ or are you Roman? So having to meet in secret and having to be hush-hush about who you hang out with is so similar to the queer community, especially in earlier decades when being gay was illegal.
How the queer church and early church relate to each other is that it wasn't safe, but it is worth it to risk. It is worth it to be brave.
Church, what it represents for me, is a place of healing, right? So I feel like it's definitely important for, especially if you're a Christian of the LGBT community, it's important for you to have a space to go where you identify with, where other people identify with you, and you feel safe being there. If I were to speak to anybody struggling with, even with something like doing drag, find your comfort first before you just get out there and do it. Make sure you're safe. You make sure you have, resources, someplace to stay, someplace to be. You never know how people are going to react.
There are a lot of different violences that I've dealt with and a lot of Black trans women deal with. They're like the most killed in America.
Not only are Black folks targeted at higher rates than white folks, but Black trans women of color are targeted at a much higher rate than really any demographic in this country.
We're still in a weird space where everybody's trying to learn new things and who we are and how we navigate. So anybody younger, I would say, be safe.
Any questions, comments?
Something that I would just add is that, and we continue to be created. Like this because creation wasn't just like when we were formed, but like when somebody decides to begin transitioning or decides to name themselves, that's God continuing to create them.
Ever since I was a little kid, I felt different. And I didn't know what that difference was. I didn't have the language for it. I remember frequently being asked to wear a dress or wear tights. My school uniform was a jumper or a skirt. I hated them. It made me cringe. Well, at first I came out as lesbian in high school, and that was really hard. I didn't really know how my family would react, but they told me right away that they loved me and would support me through anything, which I was not prepared for that response. I was prepared for get out of our house, I went in there ready for a fight, but only to be met with that shocking love. Many years later, I came out as trans, and I remember feeling very similar reactions. I don't know what my family's gonna think. I'm mentally preparing myself to be rejected, to only be met with, we love you and we wanna support you through all of this.
It's all love, so I pray that when you fall, you get up. You need help, don't hesitate, call me up. I got ya, we all one, so that means we're second to none. So we all could burn as bright as the sun, so get up and have fun, cause it could be your last day. It's all about perception, dealing with it in a bad way. It's all about
I know that I have been lucky to have been raised in a family and in a church that sees me and knows me and loves me. And I do think that may be part of why I feel like I can do queer church. Not everyone feels that comfort of not only going to church as a queer person, but holding space for queer people, a queer-centric worship experience where queer people are invited and like centered in the entire experience.
We can unite and it can happen tonight. It's up to us, so let's rise above. We can change the world and all it takes is love. It's not it's yours. If you want it, go get it. The word is all yours.
Today is the day. This evening, Queer Church is happening. There will be song and dance and drag queens and Jesus and the gospel.
This will not be your grandparents' Sunday evening liturgy. So come on out and worship the Lord in a new way tonight and let Pentecost and Pride come a little bit early.
Growing up, especially being a part of the LGBT community, I never felt included in church. So to have this opportunity presented to me is literally the definition of being included for me personally. It's a weird feeling. It really is, just sitting in the church and thinking about the performance that I'm going to do. But it feels amazing.
It's hot and I'm nervous. And I still, because I haven't, my mind still, like, it's a church, but the song I'm performing, I'm still trying to accept that's cussing it, and I'm about to cuss in the church.
I hope the audience sees that trans people and non-binary people in general, we're not just all like voguing and turning up all the time, and nothing's wrong with that, but we're also mysterious, magical, celestial beings who like to dance and express themselves.
This is beautiful to me where, I'm not gonna try to quote the Bible, but I'm almost certain there's a verse in there that says, come as you are. Somebody can literally come exactly as they are, and they're welcome to have a seat and be part of it. And all they're welcome with is a hug instead of why you're here. That's so important to me.
Before we walk out, I'd like to have a prayer with all of y'all. Good and gracious God, you keep it weird. You have blessed us with our queerness. You have blessed us with this life, this uniqueness. We are anointed in our queerness. Be with us this day as we celebrate the joy of life and the joy of your love and love for everyone.
Church to me means that we're able to come to God exactly who we are. As queer individuals, I think we are asked to leave parts of ourselves outside, the parts that feel messy or broken or heavy.
Join us this day as we turn it up, let go of any shit that tells us that we are not good. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. There is a deep, deep hunger in our world for new things, especially new things coming from marginalized communities. People want to see the gospel lived out by people of color, by queer folks, by women, by children, by drag queens and non-binary folks, trans folks. They want that, and not everyone knows where to go to see that. And I think by bringing the two worlds together, there is healing happening.
We begin Queer Church by being reminded of just how loved we are, and we ask God to help us let go of all brokenness, all heaviness, all shittiness that prevents us from knowing that we are truly loved. Let us pray. God, your love is so weird and so good. You made me specifically.
I think we've had many, many, many years of hurting people that are different, and I think I may spend the rest of my life just undoing hurt. I felt called to ministry to come and share the liberating love of God, but I'm okay if for the rest of my life all I do is apologize for what people have done in church. And I'm okay if I'm just reducing the hurt that people feel. That might be enough.
Being asked to participate in this is pretty great because I've never really seen a drag performance happen during a church sermon. So to think that there are people who might see this and it might just open up their minds, it can open the eyes of those queer individuals who may not realize that, oh, it's okay to be open, it's okay to embrace who you are. Don't worry about being judged because, look at me, I'm literally a man dressed up in a church right now. Don't let anything hold you back.
I was so busy watching, I forgot I had to pray. We gather tonight as friends and as strangers off the street, and we love on each other, and we break bread and drink wine together as a symbol of God's love for us and God's call to us to love and serve everyone until all chains of individual and systemic oppression are broken.
I think for the queer community, I would say the church is yours. God intended the church to be for you, for the people who are pushed out of society, for the people that are pushed out. The church is already yours. You just have to move in and claim it. People will work all their lives to tell you that it's not for you, but God's already said it is.
People on the margins know all about death. Queer folks know all about death. People of color know all about death. Women know all about death. Immigrants that are undocumented and people in prison know all about death. When Black trans women are killed at a far higher rate than any other person, we know death. Son of God, fully human, born a poor brown boy in a small town into a world ruled by oppressive governments and strict religious laws. That same poor brown boy growing up to be a devout Jewish man whose life was spent teaching about loving the rejects, even if it breaks the religious law. And in teaching that, being wrongfully arrested and brutally killed. Jesus knows all about death.
So I was looking at the people involved, all people of color, thinking about Pride. And Pride was started by queer women of color. This past weekend on June 28th marks the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, where essentially people were gathering at the Stonewall Inn in New York, and the police had raided the bar. And people within the bar, specifically trans women of color, they got fed up. And they started a riot because they were sick and tired of the police raiding their space, and it was their safe space where they could freely be themselves. And as a result, 50 years later, the Pride Festival has commemorated that event ever since then, celebrating our divine queerness.
A lot of my performance comes from me overcoming adversity in an anti-Black, homophobic, transphobic world. I just kind of overcome that by doing no harm, taking no shit, being a free being. Stems a lot from my culture, a lot from hip hop, R&B, soul. I do a lot of Afrofuturism, where it's like what the African or Black diaspora or people of color is in the future. Just kind of being before my time, in time, around time, all through time. So I think Queer Church is an amazing thing. It shows that, hey, God loves all people. Yes, you should actually believe what you practice and preach. So I think this is a really great and awesome thing happening. It's like resistance to the bullshit.
So, friends, children of God, take off your grave clothes and just come out. Come out, friends. Come out, Lazarus. Come out, sisters and brothers and siblings. Come out, all of you who are feeling dead.
Drew is soft-spoken and laid back. In his quietness, he absorbs and receives folks as they are. He will make a great pastor.
God shouts at us to step into the light of resurrection and live your life out loud. There is an entire kingdom of love and freedom waiting for you. Amen.
Amen.
So no, I'm excited to perform for everybody here, because I didn't even think I would be me performing drag in a church. Lord, like, I mean, I'm bubbling because I'm excited. Yeah, it's like a full circle moment. Like, I'm taking something that I was told I need to keep away from it, and I'm bringing it back to something I've been doing my whole life, being in church. One of my favorite verses in the Bible has always been "Come as you are." And I feel like Queer Church says it, but they mean it. It's not any stipulations on it. Come as you are. It's not a come as you are, but it's come as you are. And we have it. But I'm performing and I'm doing these different shows and I'm making my videos and I'm so happy. I was free and I was performing. So God has to like that, right? God has to feed somebody that's happy.
Well, God is so in love with you.
Now go share some of that reckless love with each other.
Thank you.
I understand my call to ministry as a call to hold space for those whose voices and experiences have been actively rejected or ignored or cast aside by mainstream society. My ultimate dream, if I had my way, queer church would happen in every church in the country. I think what I would like to do is to bring it to other churches, make connections in different cities. So I'd have to spend time getting to know people in the community and then bring it to the church to show not only queer people, but people who are maybe allies or curious about queer issues, a new, different way of living out the gospel. I would also like to bring the tools of what I use to create queer church to people who are curious about making their own. Maybe not an exact replica, but just to get the conversation started for them about what it might look like in their context to have queer church.
Rising from the ashes, with the fire in our eyes.
I was so busy watching, I forgot I had to pray.
Bring me to life. No matter what, we're breaking free.
This will not be your grandparents' Sunday evening liturgy.
Is there anything I would like to say to Drew? First of all, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having the courage to put something like this together, because where I'm from, this is not necessarily heard of. I hope that it helps me get more in touch with my spiritual side again, which I really enjoyed about my past, but I kind of deviated from.